Bonjour, everyone. Hi. This is Neshi Lokotz, and I tell you what, it is a gorgeous day here in Tomo, Wisconsin, and I have a question for you. Do you enjoy a spiritual conversation? Or probably rather stated differently, is do you enjoy having conversation about spirit? And if you do, you're at the right place. And this right place is called the Spiritual Roundtable. With me as your host this afternoon for this hour-long show. And the show is all about the divination cards that I draw in the morning. Been doing this for quite a long time. For me personally, decades. But for the live stream shows, just over a year. It'd be a year and let's see, May, June, July, August, probably 4 months. A year and 4 months. And so the cards really are about today's energy that's flowing, that's important for us to know about for our highest good and highest good of all, right? And well, can help us with our soul growth, with a life lesson, gaining some clarity, and it's for the group. It's for all of us. And if something feels good to you, resonates with you, then that piece is definitely for you, right? So welcome. Welcome to all of those that are in the live chat. Thank you for being with me this afternoon on a holiday Sunday, Labor Day here in the States. And those who are watching the recorded show, welcome to you too. And thank you so much for making time to watch the recorded show. We do appreciate that. And if you have any comments or questions, even if you're watching the recorded show, the video, then please just put them in the comment section and tag me, and I'll do my best to answer your questions, okay? All right. So today is Sunday, September 1st. Can you believe it? We're at the first of the month, and I got the nudge actually yesterday to start a different deck. Now, it's a deck we've used before, so it's not a brand new deck, but this is the deck that Spirit led me to yesterday. And so we're going to be inviting the energy of Kyle Gray and the angels of the and ancestors, the Oracle cards guide deck, into this show, and for a few weeks at least, right? For a few weeks. So, before we get really flowing down the road with the card information, I'm going to take my phone. And I'm going to, like the news feed. That's where I'm sending the live stream. I'm sending it over to my news feed to remind my friends that I'm live streaming. And if I can get it to change, there it goes. And I invite you to do the same thing. We're using the words sprinkle, send, spread the information over to your live stream if you so choose, or maybe to a friend. And this is the reason why, is like whenever we find something that's helpful to us along our journey here in the spiritual way, we share it. And I said that S word again, rats. I'm trying to break up an old habit here. And so anyway, you have an opportunity to what I call for an energy worker to do a spiritual civic duty. Okay. And that is if you find something that's helpful to you, then you know someone else is looking for it too. And so if you can send it over to your news feed or to a specific friend, that's really good. So what I'm doing is I'm sending it over to my newsfeed just so I can remind my friends that I'm live streaming, and then asking them to come out and play. There we go. There. And then I'm going to send it over to Star Nation's live stream closed group to remind the peeps that I'm live streaming. And we've got to make sure I send it to the right place here. There we go. And I'm just going to let the peeps know that I'm live streaming. There we go. got to spell right for the quick keys to come up. And it just takes a moment. And we're just going to ask them to please join us. There we go. And then we'll post that. There. I know it doesn't take long, and it really is helpful to those people who are, looking for the live stream too, because sometimes it's kind of hard to find on Facebook. There we go. Now I'm just going to check to see who's in the live chat. Let's say hi to a few people here, a few of the peeps, right? So who do we have here? Hey, Rochelle's here. Hello, Rochelle. You're grounded. Good to go, lady. Good to go. And thank you for the reminder. We're starting a new deck, right? And it's always a good thing to be grounded and centered so that you can take in as much of the information that is for your highest good, right? In a good way. And so thank you for the reminder, Rochelle. We do appreciate that. Hey, Julie's here too. Hey, Julie. Good to have you in the chat. Christina's here too. Hello, Christina. Welcome. I'm so glad to see you in the live chat. And look who else who is here. Mervyn Kelly is here. Good evening. Now, it is evening for Mervyn, for Nellie, because he's over in England across the pond. And so good to have you here. And thank you for sprinkling it over to wherever you did, Rochelle. Thank you so much. And Gina's here too. Hey, Gina. It's good to see you too. It really is. So, you know how much I like Kyle Gray's cards. I didn't even know about Kyle Gray until this past year. And in 2018 is when we first started doing this live stream, right? And so for those who are just joining us, this is the deck that we're using. Kyle Gray is the author. It's Angels and Ancestors Oracle deck. And Kyle Gray is from Scotland, and his illustrator is the artist is Lily Moses, and she is from New Zealand. She's from New Zealand, Queensland, Australia, actually. Let's see, wait. Lily was born in New Zealand and moved to Australia at the age of 12, and so she resides in Queensland, Australia, and working as a full-time artist. Well, that makes me wonder if Jen has heard of her. I wonder. Jen is one of our longtime attendants, part of the live chat crowd usually. And so, and Kyle Gray is from Scotland. Yeah, so this is the deck we're using. Wait till you see the artwork on these cards. If you haven't seen them, you're in for a treat. Hey, Carol, good to have you here too, lady. Good to have you here. I hope you guys are doing well this weekend. It's a long 3-day holiday here in the States for those who are not in the States. It's Labor Day weekend. And so we have one more day off, or some people do, till Tuesday starts the work week. So I'm going to turn off the crawler here and put my name up. There we go. We're going to get started with the cards because we have 3 of them today. And I have to tell you, it was kind of, very comfortable and comforting when I started using the cards this morning. It was like meeting an old friend, right? Because I always, what I always do before I draw the cards, I bring my spiritual team close and I ask the entire team to help me to select the cards that will tell us about the energy that's flowing today that's most important for us to know about for our soul growth, for our highest good, and the highest good of all, and that can help us with clarity and insight, okay? And so I started shuffling the cards, and like I said, it was like getting together with an old friend, and so I really liked it a lot. Yeah. Hey, Jen Armstrong's here. She says, "Good morning. I am in Queensland, Australia. I haven't heard of Kyle Gray. Well, the artist, Lily Moses, is from Queensland. Lily Moses, Lily Moses. And Kyle is from Scotland. So yeah, I was just wondering maybe if you knew the artist or know of her, right? Rudy and Rascal sends greetings to George. Well, I'll have to tell him. George is with Paul. They're okay. So here's this, and I have to send out the pictures yet. We have spent a year with George, or George has spent a year with us. We went and picked him up on last Labor Day weekend last year. So he's been with us for a year. He was 8 weeks old, I think it was 8 weeks old. And yeah, and so we've spent a whole year with George, and Georgie is doing quite well. He is running around with his dad this afternoon. I kind of hear stuff going on outside. We're going to be building a fenced-in area for George up here at the academy, so that when he's up here with me, if he wants to go outside, he can do that, and I don't have to be out there with him to have him on lead. So for his I don't even know what to call it. It's not his birthday. It's his 1 year anniversary. We'll call it that with us. And so I hear them outside. Paul's going to be putting the fence up tomorrow. So yay! Expect some pictures of George this afternoon. Later this afternoon, when we get done with the show, I'll get those posted. So Carol, I'll let George know about Rudy and Rascal. Now, see, I know you guys didn't hear that, but Paul's yelling for George. George. When he calls him by George, then you know that George is not behaving. All right, so here we go. This is the first card. Shield Maiden. Shield Maiden. Make plans and focus. Make plans and focus. Yeah? Yeah, look at that artwork on here. You get the Celtic knots in the background, right? She is a Viking Shield Maiden. And you're going to notice in this deck of cards that color blue. The artist uses it quite often, right? She's got her sword and her shield. Notice her necklace. Get it to focus here. Yeah, it's like that half moon or crescent moon. Make plans and focus. Did you know, Celtic knots, did you know that there is a belief that with the Celtic knots, that where they cross over or the gap, okay, I'll let you look at it. In the gap where they cross over is a gateway or a portal. And so you can kind of get an idea of Celtic knots are a pathway of travel, spirit travel, your soul to be able to go to other realms, other places. Celtic knots. Yeah. So she's got all of her tools with her, right? She's got her ally, which is a sword, and the sword represents the element of fire. She's got her protection both in the sword and in the shield, right? She's ready. She's got a plan. And she's ready to move forward with it, right? And so here's the message that the author, Kyle, has to say. He says, have a plan or strategy in place before moving forward. Well, for those of us who are trained planners, we always have a plan. right? We have lists that make the lists. And as long as you give me an end date and what you want completed, give me the full picture, we can move the timeline backward so that we hit certain places to get the end results as close as possible, right? And so to have a plan, to me, is kind of like breathing. The trick is not to overplan it, is to leave enough space in there for spirit to move through and around, and so that your heart is also in the lead, but it's a balance between your head and your heart, right? And so, not planning everything down to the tiniest detail, but to make sure that you have the bigger pieces in place, right? Of what you want to do and how you want to do it. Sometimes when Georgie, I don't know if you saw him, he ran across the ducking out there. As long as you have the big pieces in place, right? The big pieces in place, you have enough room for spirit to guide you, to move it around, right? Um, and as a trained planner, that's a skill that you learn by trial and error. Because sometimes, what's that old saying? The best laid plans of mice and men, right? In other words, all you can do is your very best, and sometimes spirit takes it over, and this is the direction we need to go in. Okay, and you have to be able to go with the flow. Yeah, it really does a job on your ego if you're out of balance with it. Oh, Georgie must have been in trouble out there because now he's with me, right? There's Paul. He's going to take care of George. So, Shield Maiden. Shield Maiden. So, this is, she's considered a female knight. A female knight. And in the Viking world, your ancestors, if you're a Viking, right, is that males and females were of equal stature. They're both could be warriors, both could be priests or priestesses, both could be leaders, both could be workers, right? There was equality in the Viking realm with the ancient ones. Hang on, George. George, come over here, please. Good boy. You gotta lay down, okay? Because we're working. That's what he calls us. This is his job when he comes up with me. He's supposed to be working to help me hold the energy. But right now, he's more focused on Paul and what the heck's going on outside. All right. So the Shield Maiden can be a fierce warrior, right? Fierce warrior, carrying that feminine energy. She could be a warrior and a woman too. Her medicine helps us to move beyond any unsettled feelings when our plans start to take shape and follow through with our strategies in order to be where we want to be. Right? So if you're planning something, if you have a plan for a career change, or maybe you're thinking about changing residence, right? Selling your home, or maybe getting out of a rental and buying a home. Those are big ticket items, right? But even the smaller things, like, I don't know, planning out when you're going to fit meditation into your busy day, right? Rather than doing it haphazard. And when if I can fit it in, I'll fit it in. If I can't get it to this morning, I'll do it this afternoon. And evening time rolls around, and you're getting ready for bed, and you're thinking, "Geez, I didn't even meditate today." Right? I wanted to. I had my intention set, but I didn't get to it. How many of us do that, right? And even if it is just a 5-minute meditation, a 5 minute of quietness, if we don't set the alarm for it, right, the notification on our phones for it, we get busy with something and we don't do it. So even having a plan for the smaller things of a 5 minute quiet time, we need a plan for it. Where are you going to fit it into your day? Is it in the morning, afternoon, or would you rather do that before you fall asleep? Right? Yeah. So any of it's good. It's just that you have to have a plan for it. She also shows us how to work with others in order to bring about the plans to fruition. So many times we need to have others with us, right? Especially when we're planning something bigger and for a group of people, right? So one of the people that I work with is in the chat. Is in the live chat. Julie Shumway Hill. She is Star Nation Academy's manager. And so we're planning classes for you guys for online classes that's going to start this fall in October. And then we're going to sit down, we're going to plan out the 2020 calendar so that you guys know what free mini classes are going to be available through the closed group here at the Academy closed group, and what ones are going to be available online, and which classes are going to be available in person here at Star Nations Academy. So we have to get to a plan together, right? And so sometimes when you're working with more community, um, bigger projects, you really do need help. There's no reason to do it by yourself and get all stressed over it. So, taking some time to assess what your next steps will be. The ancestor guidance that is coming to you now is a reminder that you have a warrior's heart and that you have it within you to be more prepared and focused than you have been recently. Have a strategy in place and then let your guide support you as you move forward. Aw, Georgie. Georgie, you can't go outside, babe. Come here. Georgie, come. He's not going to listen to me. He wants to be up there with Paul. So, how many of you in the live chat and who's watching perhaps the recorded, do you have a plan in place, a strategy in place for either your next project or your next step, right? Maybe you're going through a life lesson right now, right? And even when we go through our integration time, it's good to have a little bit of a plan pulled together and how you can work in some quiet time in a busy day so that you have that quiet time to be able to reflect and to really bring in the the wisdom that you gained. Georgie, I don't know if you can see him. Yeah, that's George. He's trying to get out. Shield Maiden. So she's got her tools with her. She's got her allies with her, right? Even her ink on her, the tattoos that are on her are her allies, right? Helping her to carry that strength. All right, thanks for that, Jen. I was just curious. Rochelle says, I really need to focus. We need some focus, yes. It's not what we need is a balance between our mind and our heart, right? And so we still need to have some sort of strategy or plan, some sort of almost like a structure, even if it's a list, right? But with enough space in there so that you can hear spirit and to be for your soul to lead, right? Yeah, it's about balance. Mervyn said we had complete equality between male and females in ancient Celtic society too. Yeah, Yep, yep. And honestly, here's my belief, my feeling is that most Indigenous people did, but when other people came in with their own belief systems and ways of doing things, the conqueror, right? They were forcing the Indigenous people to change so that everybody would be more alike. In other words, taking on their belief systems rather than keeping their own, right? And so, and even with that, it's all part of, I think, a major or a bigger plan that the creator has, right? Because things had to get set up for us to be able to learn our life lessons, right? If everything was paradise, right? If everything flowed in paradise, why would we need to learn anything? Because we're in paradise. Why? There'd be no friction. There'd be no reason to have uncomfortableness, right? Because there's no growth in that. It's fun, and we're all looking for that piece of paradise, right? We'll get there. We'll get there, but in order to gain the wisdom, certain events had to occur and put us in the place that we currently are in. And those of us that are awake and working our soul contract and taking care of ourselves and doing our soul healing work, healing those mental traumas and those emotional traumas, we're helping not just ourselves, but everything and everyone around us do that shift and change, right? Yeah. Thanks for that, Mervyn, sharing that. Jen says, I need a plan for a career change. I firstly just need to work out what the new career will be. Yep. I know that feeling. I know, been there. And even I had a career. I had a career as a civil servant with the state of Wisconsin. You know, could have stayed with that. Could have worked my way up. Gotten career promotions and all of that. I was good at what I did. But there was another part of me that was just not happy in that. And so I had to make changes, right? But in those changes, oh my gosh, talk about, boy, am I on the right track? Nervousness, anxiety. What if I'm making the wrong decision? But spirit kept pushing, nudging me. It's like in big ways and in little ways, right? And so when I finally stopped resisting, because we do that, stop resisting, I was led to where I needed to be, where I was supposed to be. And yeah, which was I had my own business. I was doing feng shui at the time and sacred space. And so I was doing that, was doing pretty good with that, right? And then it started to morph and change again. And that was when the drum making came into being. Tested all of my belief systems, let me tell you. Had to sift through them, right? And release those that no longer served me. But I had to have a plan in place. Had to have a plan. And so even if you don't know what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, make that plan to do your meditations. Make that plan to do automatic writing. Make that plan to be out in nature, right? Yeah, work on your resume. Reflect on all the wisdom that you've gained in this lifetime already. What are you really, really good at? What comes to you naturally that, some people it's languages, I can't even talk. Slow down. Some people it's math. Other people it's technology. Some people it is healing, and so, what are you good at? What literally brings you joy, right? But you have to have some sort of plan to make time to sit down and do that reflection. You can do other things while you're doing that reflection, as long as it keeps your mental mind busy. It could be ironing. It could be, I don't know if anybody irons anymore. I still do. Dishes, vacuum cleaning, laundry, the mundane kinds of things, right? So you put your mental mind in busyness, and it allows your subconscious mind to have a little bit more room to tap into it, right? Yeah. So you still have to have somewhat of a plan. Now, who's going to help with that plan? The second card is the Hermit. The Hermit's about retreat and recharge. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. See, in the background, I don't know if you guys can see it, but in the background, in the cave, is the Sri Lanka, not Sri Lanka, the Sri Yantra, the Sri Yantra. And it's a symbol, right, of the union of male and female, balancing of that energy, balancing of the head and the heart, right? Whether or not you can get into the lotus pose and using those mudras, the intention here is to slow down and take the time, the earth time, to go into meditation, to retreat, to recharge your batteries, right? So it's okay to be a little bit of a hermit. It really is. It's okay to say it's about boundaries. It's okay to say that on certain days, I don't take a telephone call before 10 o'clock, or I don't start my day until 10, right? If you're working for another employer, right? So you have to get up early. Of course, all that time is structured, right? And so the boundaries in that is, what are you doing for lunch? What are you doing after work? And setting those boundaries to be able to establish those boundaries that will help you to formulate that plan, right? And even if it is being quiet and reflecting on the wisdom that you've gained in your different life lessons that you've already been through, because they're all interconnected. They're not standalones. They're all interconnected to support us in our soul work here, our contract, right? Georgie, poor baby, come here. Georgie, come. He's not going to listen to me. He really wants out. All right. No, Georgie, you got to stay in here with me. All right. So take time to rest and recuperate in order to continue your growth. Hey, Georgie. Yeah, you need to help me. Okay. Why don't you come over here and lay down next to me? Okay, you can help me. You can help me hold the energy. All right? Okay, good boy. He is a good boy too. So to recuperate in order to continue your growth, benefit from the information that will come directly from your heart space. So basically, when we go into the quietness, some of us do the journey to the heart, right? Awakening Illuminated Heart class that I teach. Is to be able to go into your heart in that quiet space. Your heart, the energetic space of your heart, One holds your Akashic records, your soul records, specifically just to you. And everything that your soul has ever experienced lies there. And so that's where our memories, right? We can go in there and we can research what is the wisdom that I've already gained in a different lifetime that could be useful today, to help me to experience my next job or my next project or whatever that is. If you're a writer and you're going to start writing your first book or maybe your 10th book, something like that, right? And the tiny space of your heart is the unified field that's connected to all that is, the creator. And so you can go into the tiny space of your heart and meet with any soul, whether they've walked on or if they're still here on earth, right? Or you can go in there to connect with your higher self. And why do you want to do that into a unified field? Because there's no duality. It's pure love. No duality. And so you can sit with your wholeness, your higher self, your conscious self, and your inner child. And in that wholeness, you can pull that plan together. Ask those questions to your higher self, because our soul self is connected into the collective consciousness, right? What gifts do I have that I came in with that I can utilize right now in a new career, a new job, right? Where I will have hopefully grateful and graceful soul growth. Doesn't have to be trauma filled. Not necessarily. Rochelle says, I plan things. It is following through. It's a good one, Rochelle. Really, you're not the only one. You're not the only one. No, you're not. Some of it is oh, George, it's okay, baby. Some of it is self-discipline. It is, especially in our Western society. We're so used to getting things right now, right? Our drive through life. Yep. So some of it is self-discipline. And others, maybe that is a life lesson for you, right? Instead of I'm trying really hard to have follow through, to complete things, right? To complete this plan that I have or the plans that I've made, and I'm trying. It's in the verbal words that you're using and thoughts. The trying or working at means that you're constantly reaching for it, and it's always in the future, but not right here, right now, right? And so those, the use of the I am, right? I am responsible. I do have follow through, right? I am someone who completes what they start, right? Those kind of phrases. It's very powerful, right? When you do the I am, for it to be a positive, right? Yeah. So you're not the only one, Rochelle. Really, you're not. But even with that, you need to have a plan and how to do the follow through, right? Asking your spiritual team. They just gave this one to me. Asking your spiritual team to bring you the resources, right? And how to do the behavior change, because that is a behavior, the behavior change, and to have follow through. Ask them to help you. Right? All right. So here is what else is said about the Hermit. The Hermit card is one of solitude and meditation. It says, go within the cave of your heart. Many of the answers to your problems lies within, and if you don't take the time to connect with yourself and feel comfortable alone, you won't be able to hear the messages that are rising up inside you, right? Because our lives are so busy, aren't they? And filled with a lot of stimuli, a lot more so than past generations, right? We have so much. And so if we don't have a plan to go within to have that quiet time, it's hard to receive those messages that are all around us from our spiritual team, from our spiritual team, because it's so noisy. And what I mean is not necessarily in loud noises. I'm talking about there's a lot of stimuli, a lot of static, a lot of static. And so even if you can just do it for a short period of time, we're not talking a 30-minute meditation unless you want to do that. We're just talking just for even 5 minutes to get started with that, right? That's something that's doable. Find those pockets, those opportunities, those pockets of time and space where you can just take some deep breaths and be quiet and listen. Yeah. That's the hard part sometimes is the listening. Because, yeah, we talk a lot. We're in a culture that talks a lot. Hey, Kimberly's here. Too true, Neshi says. I believe that's what's needed now for the collective. I do too. I do too, Kimberly. Now, if some of you tuned into Living in Two Worlds last Thursday evening with Orchun and Carl Franklin, they certainly touched on this. They really did. It was the title of the show is Beyond the Beyond, the Shift in Consciousness. And that shift in consciousness was really about balancing your mental mind and your heart and tapping into your subconscious, right? There's what is the number that Carl talked about? 85% of our knowledge and to be able to connect with spirit is in our subconscious mind. 85%. And yet we spend nearly 100% of our time utilizing that 15%, which is all in our conscious mind. Think about that. And even with that, we're thinking about it, right? And how do you feel about that? Most of us that are awake and living our life in an awakened state, consciously awake state, when we hear that kind of thing, it's like, really? Got to shift some of that. There is that shift in consciousness, right? All right, Georgie gets to go outside now. They must have enough of the fencing up to let him out. Notice he didn't put him on lead. Yikes. I'm not going to think about that. Paul's in charge over there. All right. So you've been working hard and giving your all to your current situation, and it may become draining and detrimental to your development unless you retreat and recharge your energies. If you are working on bringing something together, your over involvement could impede the process, so retreat and breathe. Spend some time in deep thought, even contemplation before moving forward, right? And here is that another old saying, you can't see the forest for the trees, right? That means that you're so close to something that you can't see past it. You can't see other things. It's like you have blinders on. And so sometimes when we get so involved in a project that we're working on or doing that we lose our perspective. You need to have fresh eyes. literally. You get some rest, right? And when you come back in, even if it's a day you take off or a half a day, right? You come back and you see things a little bit differently in what you're working on. Or perhaps you're able to hear both your spiritual team and your physical team that's there to help you, that you can actually hear what they're saying or feel what they're saying, right? Yeah. And some of that has to do with control issues, right? To be honest, some of that has to do with control issues and trust. If you think that your team can't do their job and you're micromanaging them and constantly looking over their shoulder and redoing what they've just done, that's not nice. that's not that's not compassionate. That's not trusting, right? Then why have them if you're doing everything, right? And so this little piece with the hermit really has a much. It's almost like the old fashioned iceberg cliche too. Is like that's just seeing just the tip of the iceberg. You don't know what's going on underneath or behind it. So some of this is really taking stock of how you are planning and managing that plan, right? And even in our personal lives, I'm talking a lot about work, but even in our personal lives, it's the same thing. How many people go behind somebody, your family member, and redo what they just did, whether it's refolding the towels or re- redoing the dishwasher, filling it up, or something like that, right? Because it wasn't done in a certain way. I know. It's a little self-reflection here too. Is like, where are you placing your energy, and where is it better for you? And sometimes taking that break is a whole lot better than rearranging the dishwasher. Yeah. Grabbing a cup of tea and going and sitting on the porch for a few minutes, taking some deep breaths, right? Taking your dog for a walk rather than rearranging something that somebody else just did, right? So there's that honesty too, right? But the hermit is also about that retreat, going within, balancing our male and female energies, right? Helping us to plan that plan. Yeah, here we go. Jen is saying, George Lee is restless. Yes, he was. He needs to retreat and breathe. I use that all the time. Can't see the forest for the trees. I need to look at what I'm not seeing myself. Right. Exactly. And you guys, how busy I am with Star Nations. You know that. And having even just a small bit of time to step back, to take those deep breaths, right? Is good. It's good. Sometimes it's not long enough, but I still need to get back to it because people are waiting on me for something. And so, but you have to, there's a plan in that. There's a plan in that to be able to take some time. And when I was talking about not before 10 o'clock, not before 10 o'clock, because mom takes from about 6 o'clock or 6:30 until about 8:30 or 9. And somewhere in there, I fit in a shower and a little reading, just a maybe 5 or 10 minute quietness, reflecting on my Merkaba, reflecting on my connection to Grandmother Earth and Grandfather Sky. That all happens in a short period of time, but I get it in. If I didn't have the plan, my day would be, at the end of the day, I would be thinking, oh, I didn't even do that today because I've been there, been there. That was the early part of 2018, right? Yeah. And Georgie was restless. He is, because Paul was outside working on something outside the fencing. And he's getting George water now. And so, yeah, Georgie was restless. He wanted to get out there. He didn't want to help me today. He was trying to help his dad. Much more fun outside. All right, so here's the third card, the Fire Guardian. I like this card. I really, really do. Only, I'm a triple fire, okay? So I have an affinity for this. Ignite your passion, right? Ignite your passion. Look at all that symbolism in this card. Yes, he is an angel, right? Even his ink, his tattoos, his tats have to do with either smoke or flames, right? I'm trying to get it to focus here, right? That color red and that orange symbolizing fire. Even the golden orb that he has floating above his hand, that is a triangle, a tetrahedron. And that's the symbol, sacred geometry symbol for fire, the element of fire. Palms open, receiving. Ignite your passion, right? And look at his face. There, to me, I don't know, his eyes kind of look to me like they're kind, but there's a determination there, right? And so with the element of fire, there is an alchemy going on here, right? In order to bring your plan to fruition, right, you need some fire under it. You need some energy with it. Some of it, a good portion of it, is not going to get done unless we add some energy to it, some fire to it. Fire is a motivator, right? It moves us, right? And in many ways, they're also talking about our inner fire, especially in this context of having a plan or a strategy. It's our inner fire that motivates us to keep moving forward. So if your inner fire isn't quite there with what you're working on, you might want to step back a little bit and take a look at what kind of plan you have in place. Where is it? Does it feel like it's not you, right? Or maybe it's out of alignment. And as soon as you make those adjustments, those tweaks, you're going to feel your emotions, your motivation, your desire to get with it, to use it, to use that plan, right? It's kind of like it is our GPS system, our emotions are. And so if you're not feeling excited about it, passionate about it, then you're really, really going to turn it into work. And there's a friend of mine over in Ireland, Phil, if you're watching, hey, Phil. She taught me this one phrase. Well, several phrases, but this is the one that applies here, is that you turn it into real work, right? It's no longer fun. And if you do anything anything, there should be an element of fun to it, something that you look forward to, right? Yeah. So if you're, Rochelle, maybe this is something for you. I don't know. If you're not feeling it, if you're not feeling the motivation, if you're not feeling the passion about it, maybe you have to do some reflection on the plan to see what needs to be tweaked or changed so it's more in alignment, right? And your team can still help you with that. Big on that, right? Just to even ask them, so is this in alignment? And if it's not, show me where it's not aligned, right? And have that conversation with them because they can still bring you the resources in to help you with the alignment. But you're the one that has to do the work. They're not going to do it for you. You can ask them for help, but they're not going to do the work for you. That's your job. You're the one in the physical body, right? Having the physical experience as a soul. So that's your experience. But they can help you. They can help you with understanding things with clarity. They can help bring in the resources that you might need for it. But you're still the one that has to do the application part. Right? I think this is one of the reasons why I have so much fire around a new project. I love, love, love that adrenaline rush at the very beginning of a creation because I can see it, I can feel it. Right? Ed Langdon says, "Oh, you're a creative." Oh, yeah, I am. There's no doubt about that, and I have enough fire, right? But I have to also be very careful with that too, because I could burn it down, right? It's in the everything in moderation, everything in moderation. And so, if you don't have the motivation, if you don't feel the passion about it, maybe what you need to do is a little tweaking to that plan. All right, so the fire guardian represents the angels of fire. Burning desires can lead to great expansion. The fire guardian can help you to awaken the wilder side of yourself and burn away any fear or shame that stands between you and your desires. You are reminded that passion is powerful and absolutely encouraged by spirit. You are being guided by your angels to connect with the powerful energy of desire at this time. The fire of desire can burn away any old setbacks that are preventing you from experiencing that part of your nature. Okay? So if you're dealing with beliefs that are not supporting you, you can call on the angel, right, of fire, the guardian of fire, to help you to release those things that are no longer supporting you. There's lots and lots of ways to do that, right? Asking for the guardian of fire help, you can do that. You can watch one of Ed Langdon's shows and do the tapping, whatever that is. I think, let's see, I don't know which one it was. It was like 2 months ago. Maybe it was even a month ago. It was about this very thing, right? It was releasing and shifting old beliefs that have become barriers, blocks to you moving forward. So there's lots of tools out there to help you to do that. And perhaps with the Shield Maiden, because this was our first card, the tools that she's holding and that are on her skin, those are all our tools to be able to formulate the plan and work the plan. follow through, to see it to completion, right? Using the sword to cut through those outdated beliefs that no longer support you, providing energetic room for beliefs that do support you. The shield helping us to set or tweak our boundaries to help support what we're working toward, right? We've got so much help in many different ways, right? We have both the seen and unseen. We have the tools in the physical world, and we also have the tools and allies from spirit that help us. It's done all the time. Hey, I just looked down at my phone. My brother's in the house. Hey, Bob. Robert. Okay, so you know how this works. I know that we're at the top of the hour when I want to pull this whole thing together. You know how this works, right? Is to call to your spiritual team. They're always there, but bring them close, your whole team, and asking them to help you to bring in the information, the essence of the cards that's meant for you, for your highest good, to bring it in into an optimal way for you, right? So taking a big, deep breath in. And as you exhale, taking in the information that Spirit is holding for us here, right? The Shield Maiden coming in to make plans and to focus. The Hermit helping us to remember to take the time to retreat and recharge so that we can plan that plan in a balanced way from our minds and our hearts. And the Fire Guardian igniting your passion, bringing in that element of fire for that motivation to put the action behind the words, right? So whatever it is that you're planning, like Jen, looking for a different career, whatever that is for you, big or small, in order to see it through to completion, you need a balanced plan. A balanced plan meaning a balance between head and heart, between the male and female energies, to bring it to fruition. Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. So whatever resonated with you, with the information that we have today and from the conversation, but whatever resonated, my suggestion is to embrace it and then watch, see, sense, or feel to see how today's energy is unfolding around you and where this information could be helpful, right? But if it didn't resonate, you know what? Don't worry about it. No worries. There's always Tuesday's card draw because I'm not going to be here tomorrow. Tomorrow's Labor Day. Paul and I are going to work on that fence, that fencing. And so I'm going to be taking a little time off tomorrow to help with that. And so with that, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And we'll see you back here on Tuesday for the Spiritual Roundtable at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And hopefully you'll be able to join me on Tuesday night for my evening weekly show, Communications from Home. We're going to be talking about clear audience, right? Clear hearing, and a couple of the other clairs too. All right. So join me at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Communications from Home. Until then, Bama Mina, that means in Potawatomi, until we see each other again. Love you guys.